Hello, everybody. Welcome to Squirtle Live as we come to you live from the Big House, a darkened State Fair arena after the first day of Class B and Class A state tournament basketball action. Michael Swisher here with Coach Randy Turney as we're going to look at those Class B brackets right now. And I don't know, it's getting pretty late in the night. We've got all but one game finished. We do in Class B boys. We have Calumet and Duke still going at it in overtime over at Southern Nazarene University. We'll probably have a final for you unless something odd happens here before we finish. So, but let's go ahead and look at the Class B girls, Coach, and we'll start at the top of the bracket. And Varnum needed two overtimes. The top seed in the tournament needed two overtimes to knock off Granite 55-50 to move into the semifinals. And Coach, we look at some of these games and some of the more higher-rated teams from the East struggling with some of these lower-rated teams from the West. And, we talk about in small school girls there being that gap in the East and the West, and the Eastern teams got some of those games today, but it certainly wasn't easy, and this Varnum win was one of those.
Right, and my daughter was there. I got there right at the end of that ball game because Burlington played right after it, but Varnum's a team, as if you watched them last year, they like to press and get up and down the court and shoot the ball quick, and today they didn't shoot it very good and turned it over quite a bit and left Granite, in the ball game. But I think the difference when you talk about Eastern and Western is the defense that's played in Western Oklahoma. They just don't see that type of defense. I mean, you might see a box and one or triangle and two or 2-3 or one. There's no telling from game to game in Northwest Oklahoma. And typically in Eastern Oklahoma, they play one or two defenses.
Right.
They really don't switch up a lot.
But in all fairness, three Eastern teams did win today, and so I'm not trying to take away from what the East did, but it was a good day for them. But as I said, some of those higher-rated teams did struggle just a little bit. Red Oak got back into the semifinals, defeated Forgan 43-36. Forgan was kind of one of those feel-good stories. Destiny Alston, we've heard a lot about her, ever since she was a freshman, a highly touted young lady, but unfortunately for her, every year she suffers a torn knee ligament. She's torn both knees, one of them I think now 3 times. So she did finally get her team to the state tournament, but the run ends to Red Oak here in the quarterfinal round.
Yeah, it was a pretty good run, they knocking off Leedy and then getting Lamega.
Mm-hmm.
So you got, I know Coach Smaltz, it's a superintendent out there at Forgan. He took over this year for Brett Trippett that resigned, but Travis does a really good job, and they usually control the tempo and play really good defense. I'm just glad to see her get here because
Right.
I've watched her play, and there's a lot of college scouts that were looking at her when she was young. Then, of course, when she kept getting hurt, they're kind of backed away. But I've heard that Surge really County's interested in her at Liberal, and that's probably where she's going to go. But she's a really good player, and if she can stay healthy and kind of develop, I think she could be a good college player.
Yeah, I had several D1 offers early on, and then just saw those get slowly pulled away. So, like you said, hopefully that works out for her because she certainly deserves that for everything that she sacrificed in her career. But as I said, Varnum and Red Oak move on to the semifinal rounds. They will play at 7:30 p.m. here at State Fair Arena on Friday in that semifinal game. In a game that just wrapped up, a bit of a shocker. Not because of who won, but because of what the score was at halftime. I do believe that Leedy led Sisakwa by 14, 16, 18 points at halftime, but Sisakwa comes back to knock off Leedy 71-65. So Sisakwa going to get possibly into the finals to get play that, I believe, the 4th time against Varnum. At least took that first step. Didn't look like it was going to happen. Leedy, I think, had 7 3-pointers in the first quarter alone.
Right.
And had it maybe was a 12-point lead, 40-28, a 12-point lead at halftime. But Sisakwa with a nice comeback win there to knock off Leedy.
Yeah, Sisakwa, they got a little bit of size, running 1-2-2 zone most of the time, and Varnum's a pretty good team. I mean, they're real athletic. Got a lot of shooters, got a good post player. Sisakwa's got you'll really enjoy watching their point guard. She's a really good player. She can shoot it and penetrate and get everybody involved. But they got a good ball club, and I'm sure Leedy is I've kind of watched them throughout the season. They've kind of just gotten better and better and better as the seasons went along. And Coach Carpenter, he's been there a long time, but his kids always seem to play well at the end of the year.
And what that did was deny us brother versus sister in the semifinals. Coach Carpenter, of course, did spend a long time at Hammond, he comes to Bleedy to coach the boys, where his sister was coaching the girls, Coach Leah Beer. Then Coach Beer goes to Hammond to coach the girls prior to last season. This is her first season, or second season out at Hammond. So we were looking at brother versus sister in the semifinals, but we were denied that due to Sasakwa's win. But congratulations to Sasakwa, got it done on the comeback. Hammond did get into the semifinals, as we're seeing the lights slowly start to turn back on here. I think we've got somebody riding a bicycle to power the lights here in the arena. But Hammond had to come back. I think Burlington led at halftime, but Hammond did get the 46-42 win to move into the semifinals for the second year in a row.
Yeah, that was. I watched that ball game, and the post player from Hammond was the difference in the ball game, and she just kind of dominated inside. And late in the ball game, Hammond, with about 3 minutes to go, with a 1-point lead, kind of spread it out and ran some clock, and was able to get some fouls and get in a 1-on-1, and they made some free throws down the stretch. But it was tied all the way, and a really good ball game.
All right, so our semifinal games in the Class B girls, 4:30 p.m., number 3 Hammond against number 4 Sasakwa. And then at 7:30 p.m., number 2 Varnum against number 5 Red Oak. So a really Eastern flavor there on the Class B girls.